I just can't wait to see what shows up on Ian Bayne's webpage next.
Ian Bayne. Your Nye County Commission has prioritized and talked about this last meeting. They want to put up a tiny house village for homeless people right on Route 160, right behind where that shed guy is. We don't have the doctors, we don't have the medical care, we don't have the ability to treat all these new people. Of course, we all know we need professionals moving here who can do things we need done. We don't need more people who aren't going to work. We're just not built for that. We're not built to be able to accommodate thousands or hundreds of new homeless people moving in. But that's what they're proposing, and Nye County commissioners don't care. And it's already started. They've already started handing out this taxpayer money to attract homeless people. We're going to go into all of this and exactly how it's happening. It's already started. Here's Ron Boscovich talking about it, Commissioner Ron Boscovich.
Behind the Nugget. And that is where 6 years ago I used to ride my ATV. It is absolutely, it looks like a landfill. There are homeless camp after homeless camp after homeless camp dumping their urine and feces all over the ground. Some of them are kind enough to keep it in buckets.
It's already started. That's why we have these homeless camps popping up. If you're wondering why this is happening already, it's already starting. And now the tiny houses. Here's a person speaking public comment, talking about the tiny houses that the commission wants to put here.
I would suggest you take a look at the 12,000 tiny homes California's in the middle of purchasing. They have no bathroom facility. They have no sinks, no shower.
And that's our future here if this goes through. This is just part of living here. Here's the person at the county government who's responsible for handing all this money out. Just so you have the background here, I'll play this. This was the county government person last meeting.
Good morning, Commissioner. Stephanie Elliott, ELLIOTT, the Contract and Grants Manager. And we have Kathy McKenna here today, who was already approved for just over $1.1 million. So far, they have actually helped our community by dispensing $279,000. And that's
why we have homeless camps moving in already. They've already started. And that's just so you see it for yourself. And I want to explain why this tiny house thing is happening and why all this stuff is happening. And I have an answer for you. State of Nevada passed a law to force local governments to allow zoning because local governments don't want these tiny houses. And of course, this is part of a bigger plan, ARPA, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, where Democrats want to fundamentally transform your community. They don't like America the way it is. They want to change it. They want everything to look like Los Angeles, New York, Chicago. That's what they want America to look like. Certainly not Pahrump. I promise you that. Here's what they did in North Las Vegas that got this going. State legislature acted because of this.
Is this a solution to help those who are homeless? Some cities and communities have looked into tiny homes. Organization New Leaf Community was building its own project in North Las Vegas, but the city tells us the land isn't zoned for it, and it wasn't allowed after warnings and a legal battle ordered it torn down.
So this group wanted to put homeless people, and North Las Vegas said, we don't want the homeless people here. We don't want this here. And the state legislature, led by this very activist Democrat, new speaker, said, well, that's what Democrats are doing. Fall in line. That's the new Democrat America. And this is how we do it. We break up communities. We put homeless people places. That's how it works. Haven't you taken a look at San Francisco? That's our future. That's what they want. So enter the state legislature. They passed a law says all local government units have to zone for tiny houses. And here's the next step that happens after that happens.
The Las Vegas City Council approving more than $8 million for homeless assistance. Fox Eye's Mike Allen shows us how that money will be spent.
In one motion, the Las Vegas City Council approves about 6% of the $131 million given by the federal government as part of the American Rescue Plan. Exactly how that $8.2 million will be spent is
So
overseen
it's
by
exactly like it is here. So this is what's going to happen in Nye County. They take the money to help homeless. They're going to delegate it to some lady who's going to decide where the money goes. So we're going to zone the tiny houses. No one's going to want to build them because they're not profitable. And then we're going to, I don't know how long, 6 months from now, a year from now, then go back and say, well, we're ready for that $8 million to come in so we can have the tiny houses developed for homeless. And then you have a Democrat construction company that comes out here from Las Vegas with Democrat workers that come out here from Las Vegas. They build the thing. And then we just have to make sure there's enough homeless people moving in from Southern California and Las Vegas, because there's not enough here. There's not enough here to populate a giant community. So I don't know where they're going to all of a sudden have these people showing up. Here's our commission.
Right now, all I would like to do is make the state requirement and see what we get with a tiny home park. And that's my
Fine, let's move forward.
We can, the state has their requirement, but we can change that if we're doing something that's stronger than what they have. In other words, that's a guideline to a place to start.
You see what happened there? So the first lady was saying basically, hey, let's not tip anybody off that we're going to be bringing in even more Joe Biden money here. Let's just zone the thing and then just not talk about anything else. And then the second lady came in and messed that all up. And came and started talking, oh, hey, we can do even more if we want. And now people are thinking, oh boy, what is going on here? And then if you notice Frank Carbone's in there, you can almost tell when something's going on and he knows it's not supposed to happen because he starts to kind of groan. You'll hear Frank the Bone. You'll hear Frank Carbone the Bone. He'll be in the background. Because he knows she's supposed to shut up. He's thinking, geez, be quiet. You're not supposed to tell people this stuff. Don't say things like that. You're not supposed to do that. This will complete the plan to transform Pahrump from a western town with rich history into basically a poorer version of Los Angeles with homeless tents everywhere. Same thing, but poorer, and it will break up a Republican stronghold, which they can't have these Republican strongholds. They want a place where they can ship all these homeless people, and that's why we're getting this money. That's the plan, and here we go. Nevada, battleground state, presidential battleground state. We need to bring more Democrat voters here, period. That's it. That's the name of the game. It's a swing state. It's important. It's everything to these guys. And if we've learned anything in this last couple of years, it's that Democrats see elections as federal emergencies. Absolutely they do. It's 100% political. You shove these people in these tiny little houses. You break up the Republican communities. You export homeless people from your rich Southern California towns. Or you export them away from casinos in Las Vegas that don't want them there. Very quick story. I remember I had a conversation with somebody about 10 years ago. It was like a friend of a family friend. And this is a homeless person. She wanted to be homeless. She just went from town to town and crashed with different people. Didn't have a home. Other things are going on. I'm not going to share with you, but she would openly admit that she would use the ambulance service as a taxi cab because the ambulance would just take her to the local closest hospital. And then all she'd have to do, she didn't have to pay for a cab. She just pretended she didn't feel well. She called 911. They picked her up, took her to the hospital, and she just wandered off and went wherever she wanted. I was just so horrified by this. I still think about this and thinking, are you kidding me? This is really going on? And you got to wonder, that's probably why these ambulance services are so expensive. Now ask yourself if we can accommodate 200 or so people who move here to Pahrump who do that, who use the Pahrump emergency services as a taxi cab. Can we do that? This is where this ends up going. This is what happens in other places. We already don't have enough caretakers in Pahrump. We can't accommodate all this. We have a bunch of retired people who basically built this town. And now this county commission is doing everything possible to attract more people who don't work. Young people who are just unemployed and homeless, and they'll live another 40, 50 years here. And this commission, and this is what's I'm glad I can play this for you. This is something, it's just too unbelievable. The commission wants to advertise to the homeless.
Yes, I just have a question about how do you get your clients to come? Do you advertise this specifically to the homeless somehow in the paper or on TV, or how do you get the word out there, word of mouth from each other?
Yes.
Because I never see.
And all the above. So when we did the homeless, count at the end of January. And so when we were visiting them, we let them all know that we had that grant funding out there, outreach to be able to get that.
But that's kind of a one-time thing. Maybe you could connect with the newspaper and get them to donate and put, some kind of just a free thing that says, to the homeless, this is what you can do and where you can go. Because we have new people coming in all the time, too. Some people leave, some people pass away.
The Nye County Commission's concern here is that not enough homeless people know about all this free money for them here in Pahrump, and they may not show up in Pahrump. So there has to be advertising. Okay, come to Pahrump if you're homeless. Hey, are you homeless? Have you tried coming to Pahrump? We've got money for you. We want you to come here. Imagine if we put half of the effort into trying to attract sit-down restaurants and retail than we do try to attract homeless people. Maybe we'd have a Target here, or maybe we'd have a Boot Barn here, or maybe we'd have a Olive Garden here. But we don't even discuss that. We're hung up on trying to get more homeless people here. It's just weird. It's weird to see in a town like this. And I will tell you right now, people from other countries will get this message too. They will see the advertising, because this is a way to pack illegal aliens into Pahrump. That's part of the Democrat plan. And by the way, for those of you who think, I know some of you are thinking, okay, well, what's your plan? You got to do the tiny houses. Where would you zone the tiny houses? Since we have to do it by law. Here's my idea. Here's where I'd put it, right here. So you can have somebody tell Frank Carbone where I think they should put this zoning. That's my idea. There's my plan. And they haven't decided it yet, by the way. So definitely talk to your favorite commissioner and pass along my idea for them. But I want to talk more about this ARPA stuff. It's a top-down federal program. And I've always been a small government guy. This is just who I am. I remember, you're just starting out. You have people like Grover Norquist, Americans for Tax Reform. I was brought into politics during all of this in the 90s. And now apparently our Republican officials are into growing government and get people hooked on assistance. It's just very strange for me to have to worry about that. And I do want to say that I don't oppose helping people that we have. I oppose advertising to people so that we can attract new people from other communities to show up here and build their homeless tent and homeless camp. Because that's how you break the back of this community. It's a small town. It cannot handle 4,000 people from Hollywood, California coming in because they heard there was free stuff here. And this homeless count, I don't know if you retained that from the last person speaking. She is telling homeless people to come in and take taxpayer money. She's giving homeless people addresses in Pahrump. She's counting how many homeless people there are. And this means more homeless assistance in Pahrump, more government homeless assistance to support the homeless people. We have the big civic center thing they just passed. I did a podcast on it. You can listen to that. It can put up hundreds of homeless people. I didn't even think about that before it came sailing out of the Bones' mouth at the meeting. Just, hey, 400 homeless people could live there. I didn't even think about that until he said that. Shows where my mind's at. Here's someone speaking at the commission, totally ignored, by the way, by these commissioners. They just ignore you when you say stuff. This person's no different. They'll ignore her too.
Why are so many people coming here without jobs, without homes, and expecting to be taken care of? We took care of our children. We took care of our families. A lot of us are taking care of our parents. If we object to spending more and more on social programs that this town wasn't built to accommodate were labeled as villains. We're not villains. We're trying to be fiscally responsible. That's why we are retired. That's why we are living within our means. That's why we came here, because we left communities where it was too expensive to retire to.
This is all true. This is all true. I mean, this is Ronald Reagan 1964 stuff. This is not complicated. This is why every single Republican who voted in Congress voted against this stuff.
I just want to say one thing. This is ARPA money. It was given to us by the federal government. It's our job to just get this money out, and it's being done well. Yes, it's being looked at. Our grants administration staff verifies all this for reimbursement. Done and done. So we're doing the best we can. We're getting money out there. Nye County Coalition.
It's our job to get this money out. I must have missed that in the Constitution when it lays out the job of the county commissioner. I didn't realize. This sounds like a department head talking, not an elected official. This is like a mindless task of passing along government money. Job of a county commissioner is not to just spend money given to them by the federal government. If that's the case, why don't we just have a federal government takeover here? They can take over Pahrump like they do Washington, D.C. We obviously have no local representation anyway. We could just have the federal government manage federal money and just run the town. And just have Washington, D.C. come in here and do it. And then we don't have to worry about anybody taking kickbacks. By the way, Nye County Commissioner was fined by the Ethics Commission for taking for some kind of thing. I didn't read the thing. I just give up trying to keep up on all this stuff. At least if you had the federal government take over, we wouldn't have to worry about these middle managers skimming off the top. Here's how Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders responded to the same money. She basically repealed the thing. The very thing that this commissioner thinks it's their job to pass out. So someone's wrong here, either her or Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I'll let you decide for yourself. I mean, this is political war here. This is our very way of life. This is our ability to rely on ourselves to take care of ourselves. And this county commissioner either doesn't understand this, or they're part of the destruction. This is a part of a plan to bankrupt America, to reform America into this build back better, which means without the Constitution. And here's the biggest problem, by the way. This is the biggest problem with all of this, is the money runs out.
I wanted to address a couple of the concerns that folks had. Part of this being, well, is this just a one-time grant? Yes, it is. These funds, like Commissioner Strickland had mentioned, were because of the pandemic. These funds will cease when they're done, and we have to have them spent prior to 2026. Does this fix the problem? Unfortunately, no, it doesn't. However...
And that's when you come in. After the ARPA money attracted thousands of homeless people here to Pahrump, then we, the people of Pahrump who pay taxes, we get to raise our taxes to pay for all this stuff. And if you're old enough to remember the Bill Clinton crime bill thing back in, 94, paying for new police officers for like 2 years, and then what? Who pays for it then? Grandpa living here who can't fix his garage door in Pahrump has to kick in an extra $200 a year so that all these homeless people who've relocated here because they saw an advertisement that the commission posted somewhere, they need their money. They need their free stuff and their free money, or else they'll go back to Santa Monica. So now we're going to be raising taxes. You have to. I don't know how can you possibly continue to support at this level handing out hundreds of thousands of dollars when you don't have this money? If you don't raise taxes, how do you do that? Has anyone thought about this? Are these people just thinking, well, I'll be out of office by then, so I don't care? I forget that I don't understand what satisfaction they get out of setting a trap for their neighbors and their friends and their voters and their constituents. I don't understand that for the life of me. I couldn't go to bed at night if I was part of something like that. But here we are just churning forward. Hey, let's take millions of dollars and just do all this stuff, build all these public structures and give people all this money and tell them, hey, come to Pahrump and get the free money, and then there's no more free money. Now what? Let me tell you something. Someone's going to have to pay these people something. They're not going to just lay in the street without the public money. It's going to be tax money coming from somewhere. So you're going to have to make a decision. You either raise your own taxes or you vote Democrat to keep that money coming. That's the plan. That's the trap. The entire burden will shift to the taxpayers of Nye County. This is really basic stuff. This is the kind of thing you tell someone after being in politics for 6 months. This is really simple stuff. And I kind of don't understand how this could possibly confuse anybody. I really don't think it's that complicated. Democrat plan is the same as it's always been, to create a financial burden so heavy the taxes have to go up. Nye County is living as a subsidy now, a subsidy, government entity, basically like a giant housing project. Except we're a town. We can't take care of ourselves without the Democrat money, so we have to start voting Democrat or else everybody loses jobs and the whole place goes upside down. Just the oldest trick in the book. And if none of these commissioners see it because they haven't been in politics long enough to understand what's going on, then maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. I hate to accuse anyone or assert that someone's doing something nefarious or something they shouldn't be doing. When I see something so plainly obvious that's bad and people are fighting and scraping and scratching to try to get it passed, I don't know what to say. It just seems so strange to me. I don't think these people are incapable of understanding this. Back in Illinois, we'd fight these same kind of people who'd say they're Republicans. And I mean, it wasn't this bad, but it was still, taking Democrat money and building stuff with it and all this other stuff. And, that's why I do this podcast. I remember my old friend Mike Flynn, original Breitbart, biggovernment.com editor, dead now. I used to call Mike up. Hey, you need to get this out. Yeah, you need to do something about this. And then maybe the Gateway Pundit would write something the next day. But, this is getting overwhelming. There's only one Gateway Pundit. He's not interested in what's going on out here. There's just a handful of people left doing this stuff. We're losing all our media figures. I mean, we just have to be creative. We have to keep at it. There's no way to get this truth out to you otherwise in this podcast. I don't know what else to do. And a lot of these people, who are in there and who started in politics not that long ago in Pahrump and Nye County, you're just running around and yelling. They don't really know what they're yelling about. Republicans have to focus. We have to focus back on things we can control. We have to pay attention when our government is pushing socialism on our community. We have to pay attention when we're being set up for a tax increase. We have to pay attention when we're being tricked by federal government, so obviously too, into transforming our community. And I don't get it. The only people pointing it out are people who go up there for public comment, who I wish were on the commission. Here's who opposes ARPA, by the way. This is ARPA. This is the thing, the one lady, oh yeah, this is our job to pass this. This is great. We're doing it. We're getting it done. Here's who opposes ARPA and all this stuff that they're passing. I'm going to read some names here. First of all, every single Republican in the House. Every single Republican in the U.S. Senate. Here are some of the names. Marjorie Taylor Greene. This Mark Amodei guy in Nevada. Lauren Boebert. Dan Crenshaw, Matt Getz, Louis Gohmert, Darrell Issa, Jim Jordan, Pete Sessions, Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, Sarah Sanders. Governor Ron DeSantis called ARPA Washington at its worst. Donald Trump called it a disgrace and a $1.9 trillion boondoggle. That's what all this is. Here's who supports ARPA. Just some of the people. Chuck Schumer, Dianne Feinstein, Frank Carbone, Joe Biden, Donna Cox, Debbie Strickland, Catherine Cortez Masto, Steve Sisolak, Bruce Jabbour, NPR, whoever decides what Joe Biden says in his earpiece, the guy talking to Joe Biden in his earpiece. Hillary Clinton called it a historic victory on March 11th, 2021. Okay, enough of that. I will get off of that, but that's a big one, big problem. Pass this around, please, so people can understand what's happening. I know there's a lot there to digest. There's no quicker way to say that stuff. Here's another thing that happened at the meeting I want to talk about very quickly. There was an update on the state legislature. So Nye County has one chance to send, I think, once a session or whatever, once a year. I used to be kind of against this part-time government thing, but now after this, boy, I wish it was shorter. I think it should be 2 days a year. How's that? Or maybe 2 days a decade. This is horrible, this stuff these people are passing. I mean, this is really wild. So Nye County has one chance to send a bill out there to become law in the state legislature. I don't really understand. I haven't read the whole process. It's kind of a weird process. County commissioners have the ability to send basically one thing that will help their constituents the most. So the county commission's job is to think, well, what will help my constituents the most here in Nye County? And then we'll have that brought up at the state legislature, the state house, or the state assembly and the state senate, and then that'll be the Nye County bill. And our county commission got together a few months ago and decided the most important thing facing the residents of Nye County, and the most important thing that state government can do to help the residents of Nye County would be to raise their own salary. I feel like most of you would think I'm making that up if I didn't have the video I'm going to play here for you. SB 51, you're going to see it on your screen. It's a bill put forward by Nye County commissioners that would raise their own salaries. It looks like it had no sponsors, didn't get any votes, nothing, not even the own Nye County state legislators signed on to this.
So the bills that did not make it out of committee, the first one that I wanted to address was our very own SB 51. That was a bill to increase the salary of county commissioners. This one was surprising and disappointing. We had lots of support, not only from NACO as it represented the last time, but from the various associations, including the Nevada Association of County Clerks and County Election Officials, the Nevada Assessors Association, the Association of County Treasurers of Nevada, the County Recorders Association of Nevada, the Nevada District Attorneys Association, and the Nevada Sheriffs and Chiefs Association. So pretty much every association that
Every association in America that wants to grow government beyond the capacity of the governed. But it didn't get out of the committee. Let me explain what that means. So when I was 26, I had a friend of mine who was a state rep in Massachusetts, and I asked him to file this bill for me. I had this PAC, and it was actually a Republican Party chartered PAC, just for those of you who want to know. And I learned really quickly it wasn't going to be voted on. I knew it wasn't. I just wanted to talk about the issue. So we had him file it. Went to it would have gone to a committee, then another committee, and then to the full floor to be voted on, then the other body to be voted on, and then the governor would sign it. That's how this stuff works, right? Remember the cartoon from the 80s. Now, my bill, which is going nowhere from the beginning, everybody knew, including myself, had two sponsors. One was my friend, who's a state rep, and the other was this like liberal Democrat who hated Republicans and hated the Republican governor, which is, I didn't understand that. Whatever. He said he knew her. I don't know. Maybe it was a favor to him. I have no idea. It was weird to me. But my thing had two sponsors. This bill had zero sponsors. I mean, not even the guy who put it forward in the Senate, I'm assuming it's a Senate bill, not even the state senator here sponsored it. And I don't know why the commissioners think they're entitled to a raise, but they do. And they're all surprised. I don't get it. Why didn't this pass? I don't get it. It just shows the arrogance. I would be so humbled to sit up there and make decisions for other people, thinking about the people who I was representing who make this county work. And I just don't feel that same thing. Whenever they talk up there, it sounds like it's like when you're in school and you don't have your homework ready and the teacher calls on you and you make these excuses. Oh, I was up late and that's why I don't have my homework. This is not the way a person who's humbled to represent others behaves. And that's sad to me. The world is changing very rapidly, and we need people who represent us, who understand what's going on to destroy our community and how the government's targeting our community and how to use media, whatever media is still available. And I'm not even talking about podcasts. I'm talking about mailings and text messages, just getting the word out. We have a TV station here in town that's great. And we'll talk about this stuff. We're just hanging on to our identity as Americans and just hanging on to our identity here in Pahrump. It just by a string. It's really a horrifying thing to watch. I wrote this down, Isaiah 123, the Bible. You probably heard this. Your rulers are rebels and partner with thieves. They love bribes and chase after gifts. And what's interesting is the Hebrew word here for rebels. I looked it up. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. It's poshim, and it means to commit a crime. It's a plural usage of the word. And it's used here basically to say your rulers are criminals. And it's not the same kind of criminal thing. The verse is basically there to say that immoral behavior has replaced what the behavior was. Now it's just immoral. Now it's partnering with thieves, loving bribes, chasing after gifts. That was the message. That was the message from Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah. And I'm not saying that about Nye County, but it's definitely where we're headed unless we make serious changes. It's not ethical to raise your salary when people are struggling to pay their bills. It's not ethical to invite homeless people from other communities when we're barely hanging on to our own homes here. A lot of us. There's a lot of people here who have a tough time paying bills. A lot of people here who barely getting on. So to say, hey, let's bring all these people in and create this burden here in 2026, we're going to have to pay it. Why? Electric bills are going up. Gas is going up. And now we have to deal with whatever the unknown consequence, immediate consequence may come. Is there crime happening? Is there something else going on? Not even discussing it. That's a sad thing to me too. So, something to think about. We'll talk again soon.